On this week's Nonsensible podcast.
Whereas the US is like, however it comes, it comes.
Yeah.
You know?
I kind of felt like you were staring me down.
I'm always staring at you. You got beautiful eyes.
Okay, thank you.
A boomer? No, but
Yeah, boomer. That's exactly what it is.
but
Boomer.
I mean,
yeah.
it's because I feel like, a boomer.
Boomer's probably the best way
Yeah.
to explain it, yeah.
This is Nonsensible.
Welcome back to another episode of Nonsensible. I'm Saul.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Carson.
Hey, welcome back.
Yo.
Look at me. I just replaced Dave.
That was weird. We switched it up too. I'm never the first person.
Oh,
to say
really?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounded kind of weird. Saul and Sam is weird.
Easy done. Easy done. Switch it about. It's not that hard.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like Summer of Sam.
Soul Sam? Soul Sam?
Sounds kind of
Sam Soul?
scary.
No, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
So welcome
Carson's back. Yes.
Thank you for having me again.
No, thank you for joining us again.
We're excited to pick back up where we left off, talking about when the camellia blooms and all the upcoming stuff that you have. So, yeah. How did your life
What-
change?
What was the name? What
When
was
the
title?
camellia
What was
blooms
the
and
title?
So Not Worth It.
Oh.
So not worth
And it sounds like it's
So
going to be
not
so
worth
worth
it.
it. We got a little bit of the Nonsensible, got the inside scoop.
so worth it. So
We got some
worth it.
So
secrets.
not worth it.
But it's going to be so worth
Oh,
it.
yeah. So worth it.
Yeah. Because, so no, if you say, it's so not worth it, like it's great title, but it kind of doesn't, the way it
You-
rolls off the tongue, you kind of want to have it as a positive so you can kind of play around with it a bit.
Mm.
It's kind of like, that show's so worth it, is so worth it.
But sometimes people want to be forgetting about things, want to forget about things. So they're like, he's so not worth it.
Yeah, I remember because Netflix, they at one of our meetings, they asked us what we thought, like us English speakers that are
Mhm.
on the cast, what we thought of the title, So Not Worth It. And we were like, it was kind of shocking because it's so different from the Korean title. But I think when they try to translate, I mean, even the Korean title is so long, 내일 지구가 망해버렸으면 좋겠어. It's like you have
Yeah.
to take a really deep breath and do it. But in English, it just became even longer.
Mhm.
And so they tried to find something and we were like, I don't know, it's not great. And then a couple weeks later, they were like, we're final on it. And we were like,
I like it.
okay.
It sounds like a movie title to me. I like it.
So now, I
Why
think they
are
wanted something
Korean
kind of
titles-
sassy, you know?
Yeah. I like
If
it.
the world-
So not worth it.
It'd be cool if the world went to That would have been my attempt at it. Something
Yeah.
like that, yeah.
I saw yesterday that like Benjamin Button, The Curious Life of Benjamin Button is what Benjamin Button is. 시간을 거꾸로 간다.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
long.
Long as
As soon as you change the language, it always kind of, the titles change so much.
yeah.
I don't, now I'm going to ask you a question and I don't know if you are allowed to talk about it, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So please go ahead and tell me if you can't talk about it. Now, I've had a very brief experience dealing with Netflix, performing, but to the extent that you've performed on a Netflix program, not to that extent. So I wanted to kind of get your insights as to what the experience was working on Netflix as opposed to a traditional network. Like, did you go through the whole process of sitting down at the table and having a reading and the whole production, like from kind of crank in to crank out? Was it, in terms of doing a regular Korean production, was it a lot longer? Did you have were the shoots kind of, Korean shoots are generally quite tight and you kind of, you don't have a lot of time to prepare. Was Netflix the same? Did you kind of have a little bit more freedom to shoot with, to prepare for?
Because the actual production company is Korean. So the 제작, everything is Korean. Even though it's a Netflix original series, it's Korean production. So as far as like how filming went and everything, it was your typical Korean way, Korean style. The only difference was, for Netflix series, they have to have the entire scripts out. The entire show has to be kind of finalized before it's, ready to start production. So I've done a lot of like just regular Korean broadcasting where I have no idea where the story is going, So we like film some and there's, only half of the scripts are there. I have no idea how the show ends. So for this one, we did get the entire story, the entire scripts before we started. So it was nice to have that full kind of understanding of what the show was and where it was going.
That really seems like it would help you in terms of just like basic acting too, right? So you have a full grasp of who your character is.
It's like always so like surprising to me that Korean actors are able to be acting not knowing how it's going to end, because you could like be going in one direction and then find out that it's going to go in a different direction. And I can't imagine the stress.
So how do you get ready for a role?
It's kind of typical for all actors, you try to like ask the director as many questions as you can, like, where am I from? How old am, you have to like build a history of who you are, before you can play the role. But we had a lot of readings. The only other thing that was kind of special is we started production like when Corona really hit bad. And so we had like very small crew. We had everything was very like almost like secretive. Like we couldn't like post about anything because, and we were getting Corona tested like a couple times a month. And so it was a little bit different in that aspect. But we did spend a lot of time with the director asking questions, having readings with all of the cast and everything.
Did that actually slow down production itself? Obviously, a lot of, in other parts of the world, production shut down completely. One of the things that a lot of other countries were surprised about was Korea was one of the few countries where production did not shut down.
It probably sped shit up. Well, on like most shoots, there's just way too many people.
Well, a lot of, I think Korea was one of maybe a handful of countries where production did not shut down. Almost even in Australia, where the rates were not that high, production shut down completely. In America, shut down completely. Most parts of the world shut down completely.
Yeah, we only did a weird halt one time when there was, you probably read about it in like the news, there was like this one extra on this one drama, but that extra was on like multiple dramas. And that extra got COVID-19 positive, and that extra had actually been on our set as well. And so, or no, he wasn't on our set. It was like he was with people who was on our set. And so it was like somehow connected. So we did stop for I think 2 weeks and we all got everybody, even our extras. That was like the other thing is we had a set of extras. We had a set of, we weren't having like random people. Everybody was like set and we all were continuously doing like COVID testing.
Wow, the one up the nose?
Nose and throat.
Wow.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It hurt really bad?
It's just uncomfortable. And it also like depends on like who's doing it for you. I've noticed like some people are very soft with their hands and some people are very jabby with their hands.
Really? I haven't had one yet.
Really?
Yeah. I haven't. I touch wood. Where's my hand? Over here. Touch wood. I haven't been in a situation where I've had to have a test yet. So yeah, I don't know what it's like.
It's just uncomfortable. It's a little, I feel like the nose is painful. The throat doesn't really hurt. It's just like gross feeling because you're like gagging on something going down your throat. But I mean, it's pretty quick. Everybody is usually really quick about it.
I don't know. How far back does it go?
I've closed my eyes every single time I've done it. So I don't know exactly how far I've closed my eyes every time, but pretty deep. I mean, the sticks themselves because you bring in the sticks and you hand them to the person behind the plastic wall. And those are, I mean, they're pretty long sticks.
Sounds painful. So can you tell us anything about your character in this show?
All I can say is, so I'm from the US in the show. I'm kind of like a messy character.
You're messy?
Messy in the sense that I don't care about my hygiene. I don't care about fashion. And I'm a little bit, I don't know how you translate this. I'm kind of konde. Like, I'm like old school. Everything I'm always like, if people are complaining, I'm like, few years ago, we didn't even have that. I'm like,
back in the day.
Back in my day, we didn't even have the Paydar app, It's kind of like that's my character. I'm kind of like, I don't know, like a tough girl.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know how to explain that in English. Yeah.
A boomer? No, but
boomer. That's exactly what it is. Boomer.
But I mean, it's because I feel like, a boomer.
Boomer's probably the best way to explain it. Yeah. A boomer.
Dude, did you
What are you looking at? What are you looking at me for?
Oh, a little sensitive, huh? I wasn't even thinking about that.
You were because you're looking at me.
You're not a boomer, are you? Are you technically a boomer?
Are you a boomer, baby?
You're looking at me like I am.
Well, I don't think I was looking at you like anything.
No, I think boomers are much older.
Yeah,
I think my dad's a boomer.
Yeah, our parents are boomers.
I don't know. I don't know what age group boomers are in. I'm probably.
Are you having a midlife crisis?
Probably. The air is driving me nuts at the moment. I feel like I've been washing my mouth out with sand for the last.
I was just
days.
admiring your like cool hat and your cool beard, and you look at me like, boomer? Did you call me a boomer?
I kind of felt like you were staring me down.
I'm always staring at you. You got beautiful eyes.
Okay, thank you.
When you talk, I look you deep in the eyes, and I think, I wish I was like him.
Okay.
I want to be like that guy. I don't think, look at this boomer over here.
Now I'm feeling intimidated.
Wearing a hip-hop hat.
I'm feeling intimidated now. Moving along.
So did you enjoy playing this character?
Yeah, I think as a female, it is stressful, because you always think about, I gotta look pretty. People gotta think I look, nice. And so. And
this character wasn't necessarily supposed to, right?
No. And so it is kind of, it is a little depressing to and like recently we got to like see a couple episodes, and it's kind of hard to like see myself looking so like I just woke up and I rolled out of bed and you know what I mean? Like it's you put a lot of pressure on yourself, especially in Korea, for people to think that you look beautiful. And
is it safe to say this might end up being your biggest role? And so you have this thing like, I want to present myself.
Yeah. And, I met with the creator and he was like, yeah, but you're charismatic, it's like the character, everybody loves her, and in Korean sitcoms, a lot of times we use our actual names.
Yeah.
So in the show, my name is Carson, like Carson.
Cool. That's cool.
So he was like, yeah, but everybody's going to love you because you're that 언니, you're that Nuna that's just so chill and doesn't care about her fashion and, blah, 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 blah. But I'm just like, yeah, but I look so ugly.
Yeah. But you know what? The women who I always think are really cool on TV are the ones who like play roles like that. But then when they go out on the red carpet, you're like, damn. Yeah. So you just use that as an opportunity to.
That's what it comes down to. I mean, at the end of the day, you're playing a character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time, though, people that are watching the show, there are people out there that still can't differentiate the difference between reality and television.
And it doesn't help that my name's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
it was stressful because the director would be like talking about my character, but he's saying my name. And so he'd be like, yeah, well, Carson, you're like this. And it's like,
yeah, Carson, you dress like today.
Yeah. Carson, he would be like, like Carson needs more stains on her shirt. Get more tteokbokki over there.
I see.
So you're that messy on the show. You got tteokbokki.
I don't understand that either, because if they use your real name for the character's name, from my perspective, it makes it so much harder to get into character.
It really was. And it was really hard for me because everybody's calling me Carson, on the show. And it's like weird because I have to, and they really wanted me to like change my like way of like speaking Korean.
Mm-hmm.
Like they wanted me to sound
like
more
a foreigner?
No, like an ajashi. Like they wanted me like...
Really?
Because like that's my character, but that's not me, and even when we had to go in for AD, like voice recording for some parts that maybe the mics weren't great or we talked over each other, I would have to listen to a couple clips of me because I kind of was like, how did I talk? Because I had to like talk differently to fit this character.
Yeah.
And the director had to like play me some clips because he was like, why do you sound so nice? Where did Carson go? Because I'm like talking all pretty.
This is Carson.
Yeah, he was like, I need the other Carson. And I'm like, trying to get back into that character.
You kind of talk like an ajashi, right? In Korean.
Well, I am an ajashi.
You are an ajashi.
Yeah, what'd you expect?
I mean, you're like a little bit hyper ajashi as far as like foreigners speaking Korean go, right?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't know anymore. I don't know.
You're just you.
You're just you.
I'm just me. Yeah, I think it's different when you're performing in a role as well, because you have to take on the role of a character. So like a lot of the stuff I do these days is just me being me. So it's not like I'm not trying to perform. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm just whatever. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do and, play it straight. So it's just, yeah.
So it's easy for you.
I do kind of, I turn the levels up a bit, because if I'm me like I am normally, like 23 hours a day, it's not that enjoyable, because it's me just
You got to be a little hyper version.
yeah,
of
well, yeah,
yourself.
you have to turn yourself up a bit, because once the cameras are on, people that are watching TV have an expectation of what they want to see on television.
Some entertainment.
You need to
Entertain.
you need to sprinkle some MSG on everything, don't you? They don't want to see the regular you.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily change your voice or the way you speak per se. But I think sometimes when you get caught up in the moment, things do tend to kind of happen that aren't necessarily intentional. But yeah, that just kind of, I just get caught up in it, and things kind of, it kind of snowballs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love watching you on TV. I'm really excited about her show, too. I haven't been this excited about like a Korean Netflix thing yet, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
What is it? What's a successful Korean Netflix?
I'd say the most successful Korean Netflix show original to date would be Kingdom.
Yeah. And that was kind of like their very first, that
was a while ago.
Yeah,
right?
for their season 1.
But that was like internationally, that was kind of huge.
Did that do well internationally?
Yeah.
Because it was so unique, the idea of, because foreigners people of other countries love to see traditional things. And, Kingdom is set in, it's a saguk. So they, everybody's in these different clothings and stuff. But then to mix that with zombies is like.
Well, we've never seen zombies in a traditional, like Carson was saying, in a traditional setting. So in ancient times, we've never seen that in any Western format. We've never seen zombies. But we've never seen zombies that could move at that speed.
Yeah, they were booking it.
They were like Usain Bolt. Like zombies don't move like that. Yeah, We're Walking Dead zombies are like they're slow but these zombies are booking it, like you said. From there, I think you had. I can't think of the title in English. What was it?
A drama or a...
Yeah, it's a drama. 인생 수업 or...
인간 수업.
인간 수업.
인간 수업 was pretty big.
Yeah.
Sweet Home was huge.
Oh, I kind of liked that.
Recently.
Sweet Home was pretty cool.
That was huge. There was another one that was quite big.
There's like a K-drama, the one where it's like Love Alarm or something, or... 사랑하면 something.
Love Alarm.
Yeah.
Another one.
But your show is going to be way better than this, right?
But I think...
than all of these.
It's just different, I think.
But I think in terms of sitcoms, well, is this technically a sitcom?
It is a sitcom.
I don't think we've seen
a Korean
sitcom on Netflix yet.
Yeah.
Or just in general, sitcoms have kind of died out in Korea for quite a large chunk of time. And actually our creator, he worked on Non-Stop and 여자셋, 남자셋, like very famous, huge,
cool.
Korean sitcoms. And our director, he also worked on High Kick, which is like another huge Korean sitcom. So they kind of came together to kind of revive this,
like a super
sitcom.
Team. A super team of directors with 8 main characters.
And this is I've been saying this for a long time here in Korea, where the genre that's been missing from Korean television is sitcoms. And I don't know why it disappeared. I don't know why people haven't been making them. And it just feels like it feels like in Korea, it's flavor of the month. If something's popular, everyone's like, we're all going to make this.
Well, yeah, right now it's space. Everybody's making a space movie.
Well, after
What was the one that like my whole neighborhood was in recently?
Space Sweepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
That was on
literally all of
Netflix.
my friends were in
That was on
movie.
Netflix.
Yeah, I just went to an audition last week and they've already got 2 other space movies like in production right now.
Oh, really?
So this is going to be like the 3rd or 4th. Yeah, the 4th. It's just like, it's like honey butter chips, That's what I always tell people. I'm like,
Honey
it's the
butter
new
chip.
honey butter chips,
Well, I mean, you've also got, you've still got trot audition shows at the moment. Like every network's got a trot audition show.
Mhm.
But sitcoms disappeared, and it's like, where they go? Why have they disappeared? Bring them back. I've been saying it for a few years now, and it's good to see. Someone needed to come back and say, at least take a risk on it, because not everyone wants to watch what's popular. There are people that want to watch different genres. I love black comedies.
Yeah.
And people love to laugh. People, especially at the moment, there is so much negativity going on in the world. People just want to sit back and relax and have a good time. So, I think there's going to be a lot of people out there, and it's the right time for a project like this.
You think it's about to change your life?
That's like a big statement. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I always do projects and I don't want to put like too much pressure on it, because a lot of times, as much as you can never, once you've put pressure on something, you'll never go above that, I guess, So I don't want to predict anything. I just wanted to let it go the way it goes. And if people love it, then of course I'm going to be happy, but I don't want to put that pressure on myself, I guess.
Yeah.
I think, but with a platform like Netflix, like once you've got a project with Netflix, I think it's getting your foot in the door. It's really a really good opportunity. And I think Netflix they're doing so much right now. So much, especially in Korea.
That's what I was going to ask. What you asked, like what it's like filming on Netflix. I was wondering, like, what is it like walking in the Netflix office? Is there just like a swimming pool and a golf course and like a giant?
I don't.
Does God live there?
I don't think they have an
No,
office.
I don't think there's
They
an
don't
office.
even have one, right?
Oh, well, there is. No, there is an office here, but
yeah, but it's not
But
like
it's a
Google.
Yeah, it's not like Google.
No, I mean, I don't know about in the States, but not here.
In the States, I don't know what the office is like here. I've met people from Netflix here. I've never been to the office here. But yeah, I don't think it's.
It's not like a big crazy
No.
place.
No.
Although that would be cool.
Yeah. Just when I think like, oh, I went to Netflix.
No.
You imagine that to be, like you said, like Google.
Like Google.
Come on. I mean, you've been to Dive Studios.
Yeah, this place is huge. Diane. You're not supposed to hear me until it echoes all the way to the other side of the chamber.
Get out of the swimming pool.
Diane. Yeah.
Yeah, it sound exactly the same. The reaction time was just a little slower.
Yeah. It takes a while to get to the other end of Dive Studios. Dive Studios is huge.
Going from a serious role to a comedic role, I mean, for you as a performer, did you find that it takes a big difference to prepare for a role like that?
Oh, I mean, I was literally like so stressed, like pulling my hair out, because I've never done comedy before.
Mhm.
And I feel like comedy it's so hit or miss. It's either funny or it's not.
Yeah.
And definitely working on this project, I just kept doing things and then being like, was it funny? Do you think it's funny? Was that funny? No, not funny? Should I do it differently? I don't know. Like, I'm like, especially because we've over-rehearsed. We know all the jokes. We know everything. It's also hard for me to
gauge whether or not it's actually
whether
funny.
it like the stick landed or not.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I think comedy is a lot harder than doing something dramatic.
Yeah, especially stand-up comedy.
Well, especially when the cast that you've got working on that show, you don't have any cast members that have a background in comedy either.
That's true.
So
None of the other cast members
like,
have done anything in comedy?
No.
when it comes to comedy, like one of the biggest things with comedy is timing.
Timing.
So it all comes down to timing. Like your line, if your line is like 1 or 2 seconds too fast or too slow, the comedy timing is just off.
Mm-hmm.
Like that beat, that changes the punchline completely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
So, like, if you don't have a background in comedy, if the cast doesn't have a background in comedy, how, like, I don't know how you'd be gauging that on set. Is that just the director there is just giving you direction on that?
not really. And that's why also I was like, after it was all finished, I was like, I kind of wished maybe we were guided a little bit more with the comedy. I was always very jealous. There is one guy, he's from Sweden. His name's Joachim. His character's name's Hans. And he's a funny guy. Like on set, he was everybody's like gag man, like it was just everything he did was so funny. And so I felt like he was just so much more natural with being funny in his role as well. Because his role is very weird. He's probably the most
out there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Out there.
Out
Out
crazy,
there character. Yeah. And so I was always like, God, comedies just comes so natural to you. I worry about myself.
It sounds like your character is going to be cool, though.
Yeah, but it's really hard with comedy. So we'll see.
Yeah, I guess when it comes down to it, once you edit it up, and have you seen some of the rushes?
Yeah, I've seen a couple, like the director will let us come in and see some of the things, that's, in the works. And I think but also, like I said, I already know the script. I already know what's going to happen. I already know why this is going to be funny later.
Yeah.
So it is hard for me. And even the director, he was always saying that it's hard for himself to know if it was funny because he knows it forwards and backwards.
See, now that you say it like that, I can't imagine being a director of a film, a comedy film, that's also written the script. So all the jokes in that script. You have to direct that hour and a half, 2-hour movie. Then you have to go into an editing suite and you have to edit that up and make it as tight as possible and funny as possible.
And funny.
You've been through that over filming it for a 3-month
like
period.
Groundhog's Day.
But
you just keep reliving it.
But you've written it over a 6 to 12-month period, if not longer. How would you gauge what's funny anymore by the time you're editing it?
You got to be an expert.
But even then, would you?
I think too is like nothing makes me really LOL anymore.
I'm absolutely with you on that. I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah, I wonder, were there any moments where you actually were LOLing?
Yeah, there's like moments here and there. I mean, we finished production in December. So, I mean, I don't remember like specifics. Like, oh my God, we were like on the floor laughing at this moment.
Yeah.
But watching a couple of the episodes, I did like, there were moments where I'm like, okay, yeah, that was pretty funny, like, because there were also scenes that I had only seen during the readings, and I didn't see that person film that scene.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there were like my moments, it was a little bit difficult, but there were a couple moments where I was like, or like somebody would do ad lib, and it made it like funny because I didn't expect it. But I think it definitely is kind of a lighthearted show. It's not like serious in any way. So I think even if you're not like peeing yourself laughing, you'll still just easily watch it and, giggle a little bit.
I actually LOL'd yesterday watching Bad Trip. Have you seen that?
Bad Trip?
I've heard a lot of people raving about it.
Oh my God, dude. It is so
Is
wild.
it a movie?
Yeah. It's like a fake. It's one of the reasons I like it so much is because it's kind of shot. It's kind of like Borat.
Oh, okay.
But he makes it seem like it's a real movie at times too.
Eric Reed?
Eric Andre.
Sorry.
He's crazy.
It's on
He
Netflix.
is so crazy.
It's just come out on Netflix. And it's like a road movie, but it's filled with pranks with real people reacting to these pranks.
So there are real characters like it's a movie.
And then there's just
And then
people.
and they show at the end, the outtakes of like them showing the people like, oh, we're actually just filming a movie. But it's this cool mix of like a storyline of like a real movie. And he's like, I don't know if you know who Eric Andre is, but he does like,
He's nuts.
he's like Jackass, like crazier than Jackass. And he'll just do like the wildest stuff. And it's just really funny watching it like go in and out from between like seamlessly from people who are acting to people who have no idea that they're watching a movie.
Part of the show.
Yeah, that they're a part of the show. It's really good.
Now, Carson, you've decided to act here in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have probably asked you this question before. And being that you're American,
Mm-hmm.
you could have easily gone to America and
Mm-hmm. Why here?
attempted to break into Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Why Korea? And I'm sure you've heard this question multiple times. I'm sure you hear it more often than not when you say you're acting here in Korea. Most
Mhm.
people probably ask you this question.
I think because I did, kind of grow up here, and like as a teenager, I watched a lot of like K-dramas. Like I remember in middle school, like when Boys Over Flowers came out, it was nuts. Like that was my first time watching a Korean drama on TV and like watching every week the episodes. And I wasn't even like allowed to stay up that late. I think the drama was on at like 10 p.m. So I would snuck down, downstairs to like watch it. And then the next day, my Korean wasn't even that good at the time. So the next day I would have all these questions and I'd be like asking my friends, like, what did his mom say? Like, what happened? Somehow we went from here to here. What, fill me in. Like, and so I think growing up watching and living here, I just had this kind of like dream of being a part of that type of, show. I was like, oh my God, I just want to be in a Korean drama. Like that's where I want to, act. And I want to, I guess just growing up here, it was a part of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of like woved into like my dream.
Wow, that's so cool.
Now, having that as part of your childhood, and you've obviously grown up watching a lot of media from the States, from the West.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, in your experience, would you say there's a difference as a performer performing in Korean and performing in English, not including the language? Obviously, performing in the language is incredibly different, but in terms of the intricacies of whether it's body language or the performance in general, acting in general, would you say that there's much of a difference?
It's two different worlds. It's like two completely, of course, acting at the end of the day is like, the core is the same, but it is so different, especially because I've done a lot of like acting workshops. I've done a lot of coaching from coaches in LA. And then I've also been to many like Korean hagwons and I've had private teachers. And the way that they teach and like think about acting is just completely different.
Really?
Completely different. Korea tends to be very traditional and very theatrical. They tend to they stick to their 발성. You need to have clear voice. You need to say things clearly. The breath, they talk about breath all the time, getting your breath in tone with like what the scene is going through. But when I have all of my acting lessons and workshops with like people from Hollywood and LA, there's just like so much more free. They just want you to feel something. Whatever comes to you. And you need to understand like that was that feeling. And now we should feel something else. And, Koreans, they tend to be very obsessed with the script. Very obsessed with the script, very obsessed with every tiny little detail in the words. Whereas like in Hollywood and in the US, most of the times they throw the scripts away and they're like, why are you so obsessed with the script?
Get this out of my face.
Yeah, they were like, the situation, just ad lib the entire situation. I just want you to feel it. I don't want you to care about the words. I just want you to feel what you should feel in the scene. And if you read like acting books in English, like, a lot of the traditional ones that go back more to like theater, they say that, you could do one performance one night a certain way, but the next night, if your like other, cast gives you a line a different way, you need to react in that moment. And if they gave it to you differently today than they gave it to you yesterday, you got to react in the moment.
You got to improvise.
And it could go in a kind of different direction than it did the day before. But that's considered being true, I guess, and being real. Whereas like Korea they like to kind of over-prepare. I think sometimes they're more about like doing everything so specifically correct. Whereas the US is like, however it comes, it comes.
Yeah.
Have you also found that here at times they also like things to be done quite a bit quicker?
Mm-hmm.
The timing is like it seems in the West, it's kind of more about
take your time
to kind of
get in character,
in character, and get in your space, get in your mind space, and find where it is you need to be. Here, it's kind of like, no, kind of get rid of all that and just get to the conclusion.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're taking too long.
Mm-hmm.
Just get to it.
Have you ever acted in English on a TV show?
Unfortunately, no. But I continue to get training from like Hollywood and LA because I do sometimes get scripts in English. And even though it's on a Korean production, I still feel like it's awkward for me to do the English script in the Korean way, kind of.
Yeah.
And I hope someday to do some projects in the US, but up until now, no.
But that's one of your goals?
I think, yeah, if anybody that says that they don't wish to do something in Hollywood is definitely lying. That's like a crazy dream to anybody who is an aspiring actor.
Yeah. And the bigger and bigger that like Korean entertainment gets all throughout the world, I feel like the better chance you have of doing that, right?
Yeah, like I said, don't want to put too much pressure on myself.
But I think that's great, right? Like the
Netflix sky's
thing.
the limit. I don't turn down opportunities, so I hope to do something big someday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and like the opportunity with Netflix, once you've got this platform that's global, and when you're doing an original that is on a global platform in different languages, all of a sudden, what was just going to be on a Korean platform is just opened so many more doors for people. Mm-hmm. And it's not, it's for every member of the cast. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think also now you're starting to see so much more traction for international cast members in Hollywood films. And not just Koreans. I think you're starting to see it. For so long, we've just seen white actors in Hollywood films, but we're starting to see more and more international cast members. And I think a big part of that is the diversity is just that there are so many more platforms to see that diversity of actors on these platforms.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you ever want to do you've never done acting like that, right? You always play yourself.
No, I have had the opportunity to do quite a few different shows. And
did you study acting like she did?
I've spent a bit of time in LA doing courses over there as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So.
And you felt the same way?
In terms of?
Like they want you to just be free and kind of like
absolutely
find the character.
Well, I think that also kind of ties into like different methods of acting.
Yeah.
Like in the US, the very first program that I ever did was a Meisner program. And Meisner is all about your partner. You don't matter. It's all about picking up what's going on with your partner. You're nothing. The other person is important. And that's what gives this in the moment, things just keep going back and forth because you're focusing on me and I'm focusing on you.
So your partner has like a script and then you just...
No script, usually. For like Meisner, you're just like picking up on emotions and feelings. And some, like my coach, when I did that program, he would give us like a situation. And sometimes he would like tell you information and then he'd tell me information.
That's what I meant. Only one person knows.
And then we come together and we try to kind of pick up, so what's going on with you? Like what did he, what kind of character did he give you? I have to pick that up just by like talking to you. So I think, the US tends to do a lot of like this kind of method acting, and Koreans, they're just really performance, get your lines perfect, get your, everything's more performance.
There's a few different methods that they use in the West, but here in Korea, it's so different. It's night and day in terms of, I've got quite a few friends that are working actors in America, and they still have coaches, acting coaches. And they could be working on, regular shows, and they have coaches that they work with. So even though they're performing and they're filming every week, they'll get their scripts and they'll go through it with their coach. Mm-hmm. Whereas here in Korea, once you're a working actor,
no one can tell you
what to do. And also in the US, no matter like how big you are, you still audition for roles. That's why you'll hear like, oh, this person was almost that role because they were offered an audition, but then somebody else was picked. But everybody, the lineup is like all famous people. Whereas here, it's more typically you're asked,
Yeah.
If you're like a famous actor, then you were asked to be a part of this, this drama movie, da-da-da-da.
Mhm.
So in America, you'll have an acting coach, you'll have a dialect coach, you'll have a bunch of different people that you'll work with regularly to kind of, keep you up to speed and make sure that you're, it's like an athlete. Athletes keep training and keep improving upon their skill set.
Yeah.
So in terms of that, it's quite different. But yeah, and you have so many different, even with comedy, you have improv comedy. There's so many different types of comedy, and there's a lot of actors over there that are learning those skill sets as well. So compared to what a lot of them are doing over here, I think that you have a lot more actors over there that are refining their trade a lot more than what they are here. Here it's kind of like, I've got my name now. I've got a job again, and now I'm just going to keep working.
Mm-hmm. What's like your favorite character that you've ever played? You too, if you have one.
Like me personally, a character.
Do you have like an actual relationship with these characters, like sort of in your head?
I feel like it's always a love-hate relationship because it's like to understand like characters that are hard to understand, because when you play the character, you can't judge the character, and you can't say like what you're doing is bad because you're that person, and if you're doing it, you wouldn't think it's bad, know? And so I struggled a lot with the character that I played in The Voice because why? Like the story is that I lost my child. And so then through this like child trafficking of stealing other people's babies, I'm promised that the ringleader would tell me where my baby is. And it's hard because it's like, why would I steal these babies from other women when that's what happened to me?
Yeah.
But then I have to think, well, that's just how desperate I am. That's how much I want to find my son, that I don't care about, But it's like hard to like understand that type of mindset because it's not a normal person or a normal situation.
Yeah.
That you can just be like, oh, well, yeah, my cousin's brother had a similar situation. So I asked him what, it's
like my cousin also steals babies.
Yeah. So it's always
my
hard.
My cousin Vinny, he's a real piece of work.
It's always
stealing
hard
babies.
to understand those types of characters.
I think from my experience here, one of the issues I've had is a lot of the time it gets to a stage where as long as you get your lines right, a lot of the time the director's like, okay, next scene. So in terms of being able to develop a character, and the timelines are so tight, like with this Netflix show, being that it's all pre-produced, you have your scripts before you're actually going into production. You don't get that with most productions here. So like you'll get to set and they're like, oh, we've changed the script. So you could have gone through your script and have your lines down and like, we've completely changed it. And you're like, okay, back to the drawing board. So like working on a character and developing it, it's really tough. And a lot of my experiences have been like that. And so for me, I guess in terms of roles, there's been a few, but the one that stood out to me the most was there was a sitcom I did. 나의 등짝 smash, something about the smashing, my back smashing. I can't even remember the title of it, but I played Julian's father.
Really?
Yeah.
My Julian?
Yeah.
That is our director.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're Julian's dad?
Yeah. I played Julian's father.
I didn't know you were in that sitcom.
Yeah. I was in for a few episodes as a guest. I'd abandoned him. Like I'd abandoned him and I'd tried to get back into his life later.
You had too many fosters?
I tried to get back into his life later because I'd tried to get some money off his mother.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. And just like some of the scenes I had with my ex-wife, it was just so much fun because it was a sitcom and a lot of it was, you get the opportunity to play around with it. For me, a lot of what I like to do is I love to ad-lib. And a lot of it's reacting with the other actors in it.
Did they let you ad lib though?
Yeah. And a lot of it, like, you can talk to the director and you kind of get a gauge from the director and see some directors are okay with it. Some of them want you to go verbatim off the
Stick
script.
to the script.
They're like, I don't want you to ad lib at all.
Why didn't you and Julian talk about that when we had him on?
I think we had like one scene together.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of an awkward scene as well because like there's not a huge age difference between the two of us.
That's what I was
He's like, Dad, and I'm like,
how long ago was this?
This is a couple of years ago. I had to put on like a fake mustache.
Oh, okay.
They grade my hair up, and they had to age me up for the role. Like, yeah, it was kind of weird. It was kind of weird. His mother was, my ex-wife was Korean as well. So, but he doesn't look half Korean at all. Anyway, yeah.
But we skip. Yeah, we. Skip
Yeah, I mean, sitcoms are like that. They're not realistic.
You do that like Daehan Waegukin show too, right?
No, I don't do much talk shows.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's like another thing about Korea is like when you're like establishing like yourself, they say that you should really focus on the one thing that you want to do and let your name be kind of known for that. Because if you do other things and then people somehow know you from there, they won't really like respect you. So like, let's say I want to be an actor, but then I do a bunch of like 방송예능.
Variety shows.
Then everybody says that I'm a 방송인. But then I'm like, no, I'm actually a 배우. Like I've been doing this for, they are like, yeah, but I know you from here.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird thing also that kind of is with Korea and like how you became famous is very important.
Yeah, it's kind of really bizarre because you have this hierarchical system here that is really unusual. If you're a singer in this country, you can be an actor quite easily. Not a problem. If you're an actor, you can release an album. No problem. If you're a comedian, becoming an actor is almost unheard of in this country.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you go to the West and someone like Robin Williams, amazing comedian, going off and doing a Hollywood film is not unusual.
Even Kevin Hart.
And doing a serious role is not unheard of. In fact, it's like, wow, amazing performance. But here it's like, no. They're funny. They're funny. We can't give them a serious role because people will sit in the audience and as soon as they see them on screen, they'll start laughing.
Yeah.
That's the mentality.
It's like the humor here is very, slapstick. It's very...
It is, but I think, like, also as soon as a comedian was to release an album, like, there's just, like, the crossover opportunities there don't exist. Like, it's really weird the way it works here, that system. It doesn't allow for it to work like it does in other industries.
So do you think that she could release a rap album and the streets would accept it? Would the streets accept a fire mixtape from Carson Allen?
I'm not sure. No. Maybe not at this stage of her career
Not
just
yet.
Let's wait.
You said actors could release an album.
Let's wait until the Netflix series drops. Maybe season 2. Season 2.
What would your rap name be?
I don't know. Double C?
CA, the big CA?
Because my middle name is Christine, so Double C.
Double C.
I don't know. It sounds cool.
That works. That sounds like a legit rapper name.
Yeah?
We gonna sign her up?
You heard it here first, folks. What kind of music do you listen to?
I'm actually, I don't really listen to like pop music or like, I actually only listen to jazz.
Oh, cool.
But like old jazz.
Yeah? Like who?
Yeah. Like, Frank Sinatra, Julie London, Peggy Lee, like old stuff.
Wow. Cool. You're so mysterious, Carson Allen.
I was going to say, yeah.
I collect LP records, so I like listening to things on like an old record player. I love that sound. And
with a glass of wine? How does Carson Allen wind down?
Yeah, with a glass of wine.
A glass of red or white?
It depends on what mood I'm in. If I've been having like a really rough time, maybe red wine. If it's just a casual night, white wine.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, if that's the wind down, what's the, like, in terms of if you're preparing for a big project, what's kind of you have to kind of build up for a project. What's your kind of build into that?
Build like, how do I relax?
Like if you know you've got a big project coming up like 2 weeks before that and you kind of want to prepare yourself mentally.
I usually take a trip to the beach.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's because like I grew up on an island, always going to the beach, but I could just sit on a beach for hours reading a book, or I still collect seashells, like just I don't want to think about anything. I don't want to do anything. I just stay at the beach and don't do anything like in particular.
Wow. That's a unique
So I
approach.
feel like peace of mind, like, and I don't have my phone with me, and I'm just one with the nature of the beach.
It actually, it actually, you were talking about North Carolina and saying that you found it quite difficult, but after talking to you, it sounds like Seoul isn't actually the perfect fit for you.
Sounds like you belong down in Wilmington, North
I was
Carolina.
going to say, yeah.
On the beach.
Seoul doesn't sound like the best fit for you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love living in the city. I love, but definitely to like, because I mean, this job is very like high stress. Like, I mean, I'd be lying if I say I'm not like crying on my carpet every other night,
Every other night.
Yeah, like it's very stressful, everything is, there's so much pressure and so much, I don't know, it's.
But it's worth it?
Oh yeah, it's worth it. But I mean, it is stressful.
What's your stress release? Like, how do you deal with it then? Besides crying on your carpet.
Red wine and a little I did it my way.
I guess like calling my parents or like talking to my younger siblings, because I feel like, they don't really know what's like going on in my life. And so
The youngest?
yeah, like they're young, like 6 and 7 years old. So talking to them is like, it's like I leave whatever's going on here and listen to them talk about Pokemon or,
And you're like, yo, I got a Pikachu original. I got a signed rookie card. Wait till
I
Big
do
Sis
love
comes home.
talking to kids because they don't know world problems.
Yeah.
They don't, they're not going to bring up politics. They're not going to, they're just going to talk to you about something that intrigued them yesterday at the playground.
Yeah. Kids are the best.
Yeah.
For all of that.
How are your parents like do you talk to them about work and issues and
I definitely leave out a lot of details because I think my parents would think I'm like insane for like
For putting up with.
yeah.
Because they wanted you to stay at NC State and become like an engineer or something.
They wanted me to be a dentist.
A dentist.
oh wow.
Yeah.
My soon-to-be brother-in-law is a hell of a dentist in Hollywood.
So they say.
Shout out my boy Nodder.
Have you noticed people in like LA have like the perfect smiles?
Thanks to my man Nodder.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that my sister's marrying a Persian dentist.
It's almost too perfect. That's the problem.
It's the Hollywood smile. People
Yeah.
like call it like it's the Hollywood smile.
How much to set me up with a set of
Yeah.
I'll holler at him.
yeah?
Might give you a good price on the low.
Let me know.
You want to come to LA with me? In
Not
June?
for 2 weeks of quarantine. 2 weeks there and 2 weeks back here.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to get a vaccine right when I get there.
Really?
Lucky
It's
for
the
you.
plan.
Yeah.
Going to try to get that set up.
And it's free, I heard. So it's not like you're like doing a bunch of like, paying for it. You're just in and out is what I've heard.
So yeah, that's the plan. Because I don't want to be running around California worried.
Mm.
I'd be more than happy to pay for it.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy to pay. I'd pay good money for a vaccine right now.
The president of Korea just got one the other day, right? We done?
All conversations come to a corona-based end.
Yeah. The end of all of the episodes.
Carson, thank you very much for joining us today.
So nice to
Thank you
meet
so
you.
much for having me. It was a
Yeah.
blast. I was really nervous at first, but it was really nice talking to you guys.
Yeah, it was
Nothing
great
to
to
be
talk.
nervous about at all. Like last time, if there's anything you'd like to plug, now is the time to do it.
Really, all I have to plug is my Instagram. If you guys want to follow me at Carson Allen, I'd love to, chat with you guys sometimes. I do Q&As, so definitely find me there.
And your Netflix.
Yeah, and of course,
Show.
I'll be updating everything on there about like my Netflix show coming out this summer. So make sure to stay tuned for that.
Thanks so much.
This summer. Netflix.
Coming to a Netflix near you.
Coming to a Netflix near you.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. In the meantime, if you would like to watch the podcast in its entirety, you can find us on YouTube at The Dive Studios. You can also find us on Instagram at The Dive Studios. You can listen to the podcast as well on Spotify Podcasts or Apple Podcasts, where you can leave a review. Now, if you leave a review with 5 stars, that would be very generous of you. So generous, in fact, that we will read it. We won't reply to it because there's no reply.
Let's read it. We'll read
Is
them
there a reply
live.
button? We will read them out.
Yeah.
We will read them out on the 1-year anniversary special. The 53rd episode, the first year anniversary, we will read out every 5-star review. Get them in now while you can.
And if they're not 5 stars, we ain't reading that.
4 stars and below will be eliminated. 5 stars only. Get it now because there's only a few weeks left. We're almost there.
The only ones that we'll read that aren't 5 stars are the ones that were when I wasn't on the show. Then we're going to, because that's going to show that it just gets a little bit better when I'm around.
That's like fudging. That's like fudging the numbers.
I missed like 6 episodes. They were probably garbage.
The only time you were a guest on 2 of them. The only time we will do that is if you say anything generous about either myself or Saul.
Yes.
Then we will read them. If you say we love Saul, we love Sam, we'll think about it.
Yep.
In the meantime, yes, that's it for today's show.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much
Thank you for
coming.
joining us again. It was a pleasure. All right, thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye, guys.
Oh, did you like that? There's plenty more where that came from. Subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Turn on notifications so you don't miss any more content.